I've never had a friend, or more truthfully, I never had the chance to make one. We moved so often across towns, across borders, that just when a smile might turn into a name, my mother would already be folding shirts into a suitcase. Connections were things we were never allowed to keep. We hated it. My sister hated her for it, hated her openly. The hatred lived in her like something sharp she refused to spit out. It all began 7 years ago, the night that split us into half. Mom says I was too young to remember. She tells people that as if it absolves them of asking questions, but I do remember. I swear I do. There were 6 of us that evening, sitting around the table, ordinary in the way only happy families can be. Dinner plates, laughter, dad's dumb dad jokes. He was good at that, at making the air warm. My brother asked for ice cream and dad clapped his hands like it was the best idea he'd ever had in years. "We're getting ice cream," he said, almost celebratory. Mom protested at first, then gave in with a smile. Dad held my hand to lead me towards the minivan, but something in me resisted. I wanted to stay. I don't know why, just that my body screamed for me not to go. My sister had already chosen to stay with Mom. I clung to her sleeve and started crying, refusing to let Dad talk me away. He laughed, kissed Mom's cheek and drove off with my brother and our other sibling. The silver minivan disappeared down the street, and with it went half our lives. We waited for their return, an hour, 3. The minutes stretched until they felt wrong. Mom's worry grew into something raw, a living thing. At last, she drove us out in the other car to find them. We didn't need to reach the store. Across the street, the silver minivan was already there, or what was left of it, a husk of blackened metal, glass shattered, bent steel curved in on itself. The smell hit before the sight settled. Burnt plastic, rubber, something thicker, something you'll never forget. People crowded around it, people in uniform, people with cameras, flashes, stabbing at the night. My mother was already running across the street, screaming. My sister wrapped me in her arms, her grip crushing the breath out of me. I knew. I didn't have words for it, but I knew Dad and my siblings weren't coming back. The days that followed lay heavy with grief and yet somehow unreal. Someone drove us home. Our aunt's tear-soaked face greeted us. The house was loud with wailing, then silence, then loud again. I cried because everyone else did. I cried at pats on my head, at hugs I didn't want, at the sight of the graves lined up in cruel, perfect order. I didn't understand it fully. I only knew something had been ripped away. But those weren't the worst days. The worst came later. The world found us. Headlines, articles, videos, comment section. Suddenly strangers knew more about my family than we did. My father was no longer my father. He was a drunk driver, a cultist who botched a sacrifice, a violent man who snapped after an argument. They twisted him into a monster for clicks, for theories, for entertainment. My mother, the woman who had just buried her children, became the wife who looked the other way. We weren't a family anymore. We were a story people consumed. The media ruined what was left of us. They plastered our faces everywhere, clear, sharp, unforgettable. They left us nowhere to hide. At school, in the streets, in stores, people stared too long, whispered too loud, pointed like we were exhibits. Some even asked questions, their eyes bright like they deserved answers. "You must be remembering wrong. You were too young." They spoke as if my memories were lies, as if the fire hadn't already carved them into me. I hate the media. Saying I hate them doesn't even touch it. They didn't just tell our story. They stole it, reshaped it, and sold it to anyone hungry enough to buy. For them, My family's death was content for us. It was everything. Mom kept it all inside. She bottled her grief so tightly it turned into panic whenever someone recognized us. That's why we moved again and again. If anyone so much as glanced too knowingly, Mom's hands shook as she packed the boxes. Each new house was another hiding place. Each move was proof in the public's eyes that we were guilty of something. If it were just an accident, they said, why would they keep running? My sister broke in a different way. She lashed out at everyone, teachers, strangers, even Mom. They called her unstable. Maybe she is. Or maybe she's the only one honest enough to show her rage while the rest of us choke on it. She is angry because they reduced Dad to rumors. Angry because people point at us like they own our grief. Angry because none of it will ever be undone. And me? I remember in flashes, the warmth of Dad's hand around mine, the sound of his laughter muffled through the car's radio, the vanilla scent of ice cream that never came, that we never ever bought again. And then the fire, the screaming, that sound of the crowd looking in as if our lives were a movie scene. That's the part people don't understand. The fire ended Dad's and our siblings' lives, but the world watching, feeding, twisting, dissecting, ended ours. I remember. I swear I do.